Hello, 5th grade. Last language arts test of the year coming up. And so I'd like to help you get a good grade in this test. So we're going to go across the list of things, the checklist to review. First one is, what is a simile? What is a simile? You all have been doing good at this. Simile is making a comparison between two things that usually aren't considered the same, using the word like or as. Laughing like a hyena. Hyena is being compared to somebody laughing. Two totally different things. Being compared. We call that a simile. Alliteration. What is alliteration? Okay, so I feel like I should talk about this just a bit. Alliteration is when words are used in poetry that start with the same consonant sound. So you have that k, 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 or s, s, s. You have that sound coming up again and again, which makes a unique sound. A lot of times those words appear right after each other. Gleaming gold, ruby red. I copied these from your last quiz. But not all the time do they follow each other. Like this. Streaming from the sunny skies. So it's s, s, s. So, all these three would be considered alliteration. Sometimes they follow each other like this. Sometimes they're spread out over a larger area. But they're still close enough together to give that repetitive sound. Can you write the rhyme scheme of a stanza? That's talking about rhyme, not rhythm. So the ending words of a line, the ending words of the lines, and how do they rhyme with each other? What is the pattern? Can you find rhyming thoughts in Bible poetry? Okay, you all have been doing very good at this. So keep that up. What is a couplet, a tercet, a quatrain? You all have been doing good at that. What are some common introductory words? And then how should you punctuate introductory words? Okay, so yes, no, well, and why are some common introductory words. And they're considered interjections when they're used as introductory words, right? And so interjections get commas if it's just a mild interjection, or maybe exclamation marks if it's a strong interjection. But not all the time are well and why considered introductory words, even if they're at the beginning of a sentence, right? So be on the lookout for those. What is a compound pronoun? And then, are his self and their selves compound pronouns? Are they? No. His self and their selves are never compound pronouns. They're actually not considered words. So delete those guys. Don't consider them words. Not an option. What is an adverb and what does it modify? Okay, so adverbs modify verbs, right? And when they modify verbs, they tell how, when, or where. So find the verb. If you're looking for adverbs, find the verb and the subject, and then say those two together, and then ask how, when, or where. And usually those adverbs pop out. Sometimes, though, adverbs modify adjectives, right? like very, very tall, very strong, or extremely tall, extremely strong. Then they tell to what extent. They answer the question, to what extent. Okay, what are the 8 parts of speech? And what are sentence parts? These things I want to spend just a bit of time on. I'm a little concerned about how it's going to go labeling sentence parts. I don't think labeling parts of speech is quite as hard because there's only 8 to choose from. And if you get this list memorized, right? You got it memorized, so it's not that big of a deal. Write it down by the exercise. Write it down at the spot on your test where you're supposed to label each word. And then you can choose from that. Only 8 options, that makes it pretty easy. This is the harder one, because there's a lot more options. So, here's a sentence from your self-check on Friday. And we're going to label these words using parts of speech. I'm sorry, sentence parts. Okay, sentence parts. So remember, it's helpful to think about how you would diagram the sentence, because the same names we give to the different spots on a diagram are what they are as part of a sentence. There's all kinds of different names for things in a diagram, right? We'll do that. Okay, so always start with finding the verb first. Look for action or being. Slipped, fell. We've got a compound verb there. And remember, when you're labeling sentence parts, you have to determine, is it action verb, linking verb, being verb, or helping verb? These are both action verbs, right? Joined by a conjunction. Now, who or what slipped and fell? That's going to be our subject. It's Fred. Awkwardly is what? Fred slipped and fell. How? Awkwardly is an adverb. Do you recognize down? It's a preposition. Yeah, you spotted that one. You got that memorized. Good. Now what? Down who? Down what? That's how we can identify the object. Downhill. Hill is the object of the preposition. And the other two are easy because muddy describes hill. The is always an adjective. Okay, just like that. Now, I wrote this list up here for you to look at. So I just came up with this list by doing some quick thinking. I think this is most of the sentence parts that we've learned this year. I can't say that it's all of them, but it does include all the sentence parts that you will need to work with in today's test when you're labeling sentences, words in today's test. So you can look at that list and go across it several times if you want to. All right, and the last thing here in your checklist, how is the subject and verb agreement for the pronouns you and I different from other pronouns? Well, you and I are singular nouns, singular pronouns. So usually singular subjects get matched with singular verbs, right? Well, you and I are different. They're singular, but they need plural verbs. Most of the time. And I don't think this is too hard because we've been trained, I think, correctly. And so most of the time, the correct one sounds right. Whenever you have to pick the correct verb in today's test, I think most of the time you'll be able to tell which one it is just by thinking about, does it sound right? All right, well, I think that's all to talk about. And so, like other tests, this isn't a race. I want you to do well on this, so take your time and read the directions. Nothing new there. Read the directions, and when you're finished, I think it's just great if you go back through and read the directions again. That way, you might realize that you actually missed something. I don't remember doing that direction. No, I didn't do that. Ha! So check yourself in that way.